Are you looking for relevant healthcare information? Log on to Medicircle and watch experienced medical professionals talking on common healthcare topics. Stay informed, stay healthy, stay tuned to Medicircle. 10% of Indians suffer from CKD, that's chronic kidney disease. And every year, India adds another 2 lakh new cases of CKD. Isn't that a very huge number? Like where the global demand for dialysis is at 8%, the demand for dialysis in India is huge. It is around 31%. So, about 50% of the patients needing dialysis reside in rural India, and where the facilities are marginal, and sometimes they often need to travel more than 100 kilometers just to reach a dialysis center. And all those who might be knowing about the pain, so many times you need to go for a dialysis approximately thrice a week depending on the patient's condition. And if you have to travel so far, and also if it is not affordable, it is really going to cause lots of casualties, which is already happening in India. Like for 2018, the number of patients on chronic dialysis in India was about 1,75,000, giving a prevalence of 129 per million population. And another estimate says that about two-thirds of all patients with kidney failure died without receiving any dialysis in 2010. That's really so sad. So today in our healthcare startup series, viewers, we are going to cover a healthcare startup which is working on this prime pivotal problem of CKD in India. We are going to talk to Shashank Moddhia today. So, Shashank Moddhia is equipped with over 15 years of multinational experience in the domain of medical devices and healthcare. He has previously worked with Baxter, Philips Healthcare, GE Healthcare, and more. He has completed his master's in science and biomedical engineering from the University of Texas at Arlington. And to tackle the problem of affordability and especially accessibility that CKD patients have to deal with in rural India, he left his job in the USA to start the Renal Project in 2019. Let's know more about him, know more about it from him. So, hi and welcome to Medicircle, Shashank.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us and a good introduction. And yes, pretty grim numbers over there that you just quoted, Smita.
Yes, that gives a good reason for such startups, especially like the Renal Project, to work towards bringing the cost down and especially making it more and more accessible, especially for 68.5% of rural
Right.
population in India. Like, as you are the founder of Renal Project, tell us more. How is it helping the people from suffering from CKD, and also what are its offerings?
Right. So when we started off the Renal project, we had just one thing in mind that when it comes to India, it is even more than affordability. It was about the availability and the awareness. If I have swelling on the feet, I have breathlessness, I'm suffering headache. There is no one absolutely to tell me that this could be my kidneys which are failing. That does not even cross anyone's mind. And that awareness through some basic blood tests and the urea and the creatinine levels, that is completely missing. That is one side of the story, which is the awareness. And once it is reaching almost an advanced level of, there are 5 stages of chronic kidney disease, CKD 1 to all the way to 5. So when the symptoms become very, very prominent, it's sometimes too late for us to even act on it or even marginally reverse some of the underlying causes that cause kidney failures. And the disease has already progressed to CKD 4 and 5 level, which is also called as end stage renal disorder, ESRD. In this stage, they need a therapy called dialysis, or they need to go for kidney transplant. Yes. And kidney transplant, even in developed nations like the United States or Western countries, it's very rare, and it's a little bit of a concern that there is a mismatch, and there is the acceptance of the donor kidney. There are always a lot of it's very positive. Most of these cases go absolutely fine, but very few people are able to get kidney transplant. It's less than 5%.
Yes.
For them, dialysis is a lifeline. Now that we have detected that I have kidney failure, where can I get dialysis? This is another burning question. And if I have to go 100 kilometers every 2 to 3 days, this dialysis is a repetitive therapy which has to be taken every 2 to 3 days,
Yes.
wherein we draw out fluids out of the body, which has urea and the creatinine from the body. If I have to go 80 kilometers and 100 kilometers, it's automatically telling me that I cannot get it and I have no other way to survive. In this scenario, we researched the landscape of India and we got to know that most of these dialysis centers are in tier one cities. They are big dialysis centers.
Yes.
Now, imagine a small town like Kopargaon, which is very close to Shirdi on the outskirts of Nasik. There are around 25 patients or 35 patients that really need kidney dialysis. And you don't need a 15 or a 20 bed huge dialysis center. You need 2 to 3 bed dialysis centers, and you can take care of these 25 patients. Go further down and you penetrate into some other taluka and all that. You take care of those 25 patients, and suddenly you would know that with just 10 to 15 centers, you are taking care of close to 25, 30, 200 to 300 dialysis patients. So penetrating into the landscape of India was very essential, and it was very vital to stop this mortality, which is avoidable, right?
Yes.
And dialysis gives extra life to this patient. We just have to have a model, the right size of model that can penetrate and reach to them without them having the hassle of travel. So that was the how the concept of the renal project was found, and starting in 2019 to now, we have around 25 dialysis centers. Each of them are a 2 bed or a 3 bed small micro centers, which are doing really wonderful work in these districts and talukas to actually serve these small number of patients, like 20, 25. But collectively, it's a huge impact that we foresee making in India.
Surely. So, but yes, dialysis definitely plays a very important role, as Shashank just briefed about how many patients are actually requiring a transplant, because transplant is another option for such kidney failure patients. Just to add some facts, Shashank here, like there is really a huge gap between the patients actually who need transplants and the organ, the donors who are presently available in India. Like as an estimated around 1.8 lakh people suffer from renal failure every year. However, the number of kidney transplants or renal transplants are done, which is around a year, is just 6,000. So that's the huge gap, and definitely for such patients, they need a repetitive, I think, more often a dialysis to be performed. And for such repetitive dialysis procedures, we need more and more centers, dialysis centers, also available to such rural population, and also very much affordable also, because as the frequency increases, definitely they need to pay more to get through those processes. I hope you agree with this, Shashank, that it's just not making and made accessible, but also making it affordable also, so that they can afford it, especially in the rural areas of India.
Right, right, absolutely. Because see, if there's a bypass surgery or something for 2 lakhs or 2.5 lakhs, it's done, and pretty much like you for the next 10, 15 years, you are all set. A dialysis, even if it costs around, let's say, 1,400, which is an average cost, or 1,000. Imagine doing it every 2 days, or let's say 10 dialysis in a month. It's
Yes.
120 dialysis. So 120 dialysis into 1,000. That's fair amount of cost. About 1.5 lakh plus medication. So 1,50,000 in a year for the rest of your life. So that could actually mean close to 10 lakhs of a burden on the family, and you are not able to earn. A lot of these kidney patients, it's a double whammy, that they are not able to do a regular job, because every 2 days they are in the dialysis center spending 4 hours, 5 hours. So this is a double whammy, and that's the reason for any chronic illness, which is going to be managed over the lifetime. Affordability becomes a critical factor, and we have to be very, very sensitive about that.
Surely. So, Shashank, what are the unique value propositions of Renal Project against other ventures like we have in the case of renal patients? There is Nephroplus also. So, what are your prime USPs?
Right. So, I do not consider any of them as competition. Competition, we are not fighting against uh, dialysis providers. We are fighting against kidney disease, right? So, I have huge respect for other companies. Without Nephroplus, there would be far more mortalities in India. So, I really salute them for having a pan-India outlook and doing something big in this space. Uh, and having said that, what really needs to be done is the penetration. So, as against most other providers, the Renal Project actually has a high penetration model, which I said, where dialysis, you can open a 12-bed, 15-bed center, but seriously, if patients are not being able to reach over there, it would have very little, impact to those regions. So that's the reason we came up with a micro center model which penetrates and which is a very good coexistence with other players like Nephroplus. Uh, Having said that, also we have developed an in-house software. We are tech-enabled, in which all the dialysis currently, as we speak, are happening. I know what consumables are being used, who is on dialysis, how many, at what stage each dialysis is at, 50%, 80%, stock maintenance, any kind of a complication is being monitored. Also, the blood pressure and SpO2, these are monitored, and we can see it over here in our app. So we are tech enabled so that we can actually monitor not just our dialysis center, but each and every dialysis. So our software is not a dialysis management software; it's a dialysis delivery management software, which helps us, manage all these centers with excellence and with the quality we want to give them. So this is where the Renal Project stands out.
So, how many patients you have benefited so far from your renal project, Shashank?
Yeah, every time I have a number, and then we've improved on those numbers. For each center, we support close to like 50, 60 patients, including IPD patients. OPD is outpatient department, IPD is inpatient department, emergency dialysis. We also do home dialysis. So together we have close to 1,300 patients that are currently being supported by us.
That's great. And your venture has also received seed funding from 100x VC. So, how many funds you have raised
Yes.
so far, and how have the funds been utilized?
Right, 100x just not invest, but they also channelize their funds and the startup in a direction which like an iconic brand or towards a unicorn. I didn't even know this term before I started this business, and I am not that aspirational when it comes to like such kind of glitz and glamour. My father is also a doctor. He no longer practices; he's retired, but we are a medical field, and our family really believes in patient care, and that's the single thing that's on my mind and my team's mind. We want to create that impact. Um, and sorry, I forgot your question.
So I just
uh,
asked that. So as the funds you have received from 100x VC, so
right,
how you have
how has they been
utilized those
utilized?
funds?
Right. Right. So initially, we had just one and a half actually centers. With the first seed funding, it was a validation, and we could open another three centers. We could have opened more centers, but as guided by 100x, we actually prepared more towards creating a core team, and essentially an organization structure that'll and focus a little bit on the software development so that we create a foundation that can support more centers, not just randomly take the money and open centers. And very quickly after their intervention, in 6 months, we got an angel round, which was 10 times 25 lakhs. So with that fund, we could expand. And we could expand because we use this 25 lakhs very wisely into creating a team, hiring the right kind of departments like the accounts and the compliance department, so that we don't fall on our face while we just randomly go into expansion. And then with the angel round, we could expand further. And then we raised another round very recently, which is going to help us expand our territory beyond Mumbai and Pune region or into Gujarat region.
So what are the future scale up and expansion plans? Because as you might be planning to open other centers, I mean, as you are planning to open in Pune and Mumbai. So, but there are other areas also which is like adjoining these metropolitan cities. So, what is like your prime focus? Are you planning to open some centers more in the tier 3 and tier 4 cities?
Yes, yes, absolutely. But in terms of geography, laterally, horizontally, or vertically, we want to test water slowly. So we opened a couple of centers well within reach of the Mumbai city. Then we started focusing what we really wanted to do, go on the peripheries and the tier two cities and things like that. So this is the stage where we are at, staying close to home. Now we are venturing out into Gujarat region, interiors of Maharashtra. So we have a center in Yevla, which is outskirts of Nasik. We have a center in close to Shirdi. We have a center in Amreli, Botad, Surendranagar. These are cities in Saurashtra where for miles and miles there are no dialysis centers, right? We have a center not in heart of the city, but 40 kilometers away from Vadodara, the place called Dahod. So these outskirts cities, or the outskirts and the peripheries that we are aiming at right now. Again, being at this stage, staying closer to the city, like the peripheries of the city, so that the supply chain and trained labor is easily available. Once we are a solid company with the muscle that we can have an extensive supply chain and everything, we will be going further deep into, also laterally, in pan India scope, but also going deeper into the villages and see how we can bring the dialysis to the last mile.
Definitely. And so, what were like your revenues in FY21 and what you're planning to close at this end of the year, FY 2022?
3.6 CR ARR company currently. And for the last 6 months, actually, we could have grown to more than 40 centers, but we took a little pause. We took a little pause post the second wave, and we consolidated, and we developed a full-fledged quality department. We improved our SOPs, and we just focused a lot on our technology, so that we are very tight on our processes. Everything is process based. I'm an expert in ISO 9001, and I've been a quality in quality assurance all my life. So everything is very, very quality controlled and process based. So we focused on all that, and now we have signed quite a few MOUs that we need to cater to. We'll be growing threefolds at least in the next 6 months. So by next year, our outlook looks growing 5 times. So we will see a surge in our growth, because now we have created a very solid foundation based on technology and quality assurance.
That's good to know, and all the best for all your future endeavors. Just a last quick question: you might have set a lot of goals, but what are the exact prime goals which you want to achieve this year? Because as you also believe in going slow and steady, just not opening centers, that's a very good thing, which I just heard from some of the entrepreneurs, especially one being you, that once you get funding, we should not just blindfoldedly start expanding, but rather we need to give you that quality also to each and every patient experience, so that the first patient which we served and the 100th or the 1000th ex patient is also getting the same kind of service. That's really important. So,
Right.
Shashank, just tell me what are like the important goals which you would like to achieve in this
Right.
year.
Right. So by the end of this fiscal year, we should be the next fiscal year we should be 100 plus centers. That's one thing. uh, and also equally importantly, we want to be like a brand that gives quality dialysis no matter what. uh, you wouldn't believe, but all my home dialysis patients, I personally take those phone calls and I'm in touch with all of them just to understand. It overloads me. It really stresses me out, but this is a stage in which I really need to understand what are the needs of these home dialysis patients. They pay extra. They have real needs, that there is immobility, or right from there is no lift in the building, to they've had a surgery. I want to really understand the thumb of our patient base. So my three goals are to understand our patient care better, absolutely become a quality brand when it comes to dialysis. We already are on the right path. If you Google, we are quite well rated. And the third thing is reach more than 100 dialysis centers by the end of this year.
That's cool, and especially some very important points to be noted from what Shashank just mentioned, that we definitely need to talk to our customers, and that is the way we can actually enhance the process. And while understanding the crux, we could deliver better. Because just to be aligned with you, Shashank, even I run a healthcare IT company, and today also I speak to most of my customers, and I sit in the support room and I take calls and I try to understand their pain, and also try to evaluate that whether we are able to answer them or we are able to satisfy their queries or not. Because see, it's learning process, and we need to
Yeah.
definitely put a lot of our time and efforts. It definitely stresses me out also, because the way you were saying, I truly feel that yes, it definitely stresses us out, but it is the one on the only way where you can actually connect with your customers and actually help them serve you better. And sharing your important insights, especially which would be some very important points which fellow entrepreneurs should definitely follow. My mother was
Right.
also a CKD patient, so I can feel and understand the pain the CKD patients
Oh,
have gone. I just hope that there is some wearable device, like we have so many things today to make us healthy, something like that for these renal patients also, so they don't need to go to any dialysis center. That's
yes, yes,
that's a pain I
absolutely.
have seen in the case of my mother, and she died
Right.
also due to because she was a CKD5 case patient. And we tried a
Correct.
lot.
Right.
Yes, at times she was breathless. At times there were a lot of things, like there was some face decoloration and pigmentation, and we couldn't find out what is the
Right.
reason. And so when you are saying
Yes.
these things, I could definitely relate to. So it is an eye opener for all those patients who are having these kind of symptoms. And while we were
Right.
referring to all skin specialists, and finally when we arrived to a nephrologist, it was very late. So that is one
Right.
way. So me being in Mumbai, being in the most happening city, and if being in the healthcare and I'm not able to understand, then
Right.
it's a real problem with the rural population, that
Right.
whether they are actually
Right.
experiencing such a thing and whether they are able
Right.
to understand. So early diagnosis is
Right.
really, really very important. I completely
Right.
agree with this. And for this, we need
Right.
to raise awareness. And that is what, through Medicircle, my media company, I'm trying to make. Because as more and more people know about the symptoms and the facts which are related to CKD, they'll be more aware to find it out, that whether even if anybody in their home is suffering, and take him or her to the
Yes.
nearest doctor and get
So
them
true.
diagnosed, because that's very important. And then then comes the second step, finding the available dialysis centers and how they are available
Yes.
and affordable to you or not.
Right.
Shashank, just one question there, that how much a patient needs to pay to get a dialysis done at any one of your centers at the Renal Project?
Right. So we are pretty much affordable. Anywhere between 1,100 to 1,400 rupees is our charges. But most importantly, a lot of our centers and some of the centers in the interiors, they are covered under government yojanas, especially in Gujarat. So the patient gets a dialysis for free. It is only that, can someone open a dialysis center over here? Seriously. And the government pays us for each dialysis of the patient. So that's a very good thing, that we just open a dialysis center and the patients actually get it for free from the government yojanas.
That's great to know. So it's like definitely free, and it is going to help the rural patients especially because there won't be any burden for this healthcare process.
Right.
Any golden
Thank you.
words of wisdom to some fellow entrepreneurs who would like to make it big like you in the healthcare startup
Uh,
ecosystem?
I don't know. I don't read too many books on entrepreneurship and all that. I just follow, like, there's I'm a huge fan of boxing, and something that just stuck, very close to, like, last year or something, that, Mike Tyson said it. It's not about talent and it's not about intelligence. The person who really wants it will go and get it. That is the kind of thing. So I think that's exactly, I if I had thought about all my talents and everything before starting this venture, and if I analyzed, I would not have started it. It was that ignorance, that I don't know what I don't know. That ignorance was a bliss, and I could just straight go ahead because I just wanted to have 1,000 dialysis centers pan India, and reach all those people who did not even imagine dialysis being 5 kilometers from their home. So that's the passion, and I'm very, very passionate about that whole thing. I don't think I have all the talent and the required intelligence to do that, but I'm going to go get it anyway.
So ignorance is completely a bliss. I think sometimes it makes you make lots of mistakes, but sometimes it gives you that determination that you can bang on the word with your utmost determination and make those
Right.
dreams true, which you have never even dreamt of. Hope that the Renal Project get more funds and it is accessible to more and more rural population. Thank you once again for joining.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. Lovely talking to you too, Smita. Thanks for sharing your story as well, and a pleasure being on your Medicircle program.